Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Patriots 2 channel, coming to you from Texas. I want to speak to you about what's going on in Texas today. I've got several breaking stories over the last several minutes. A couple of things going on with Ken Paxton in retaliation to the Democrats fleeing town. I'm sure most people are apprised of this story at this point, and this is just a little bit of a follow-up. Now, at one point, we had a crappy Speaker of the House named Dave Felon who hated Ken Paxton and would never work with him to try to bring the Democrats back to town. But because the Democrats have done this not once, not twice, but this is the third time they bailed and broke quorum, they now that we have a decent speaker in there, he is backing Ken Paxton's move 100%. We've now got DPS involved. The FBI, Cash Patel, is sending a division of FBI guys to go round these people up so they can be returned to the chambers. It is fixing to get ugly, folks. And what they did today was they tried to set up session, an open quorum, and found out not enough Democrats showed again today, which they knew they wouldn't, but they had to try. And we're still missing, I think it's like about a dozen Democrats for us to be able to get to the number to be able to start the process to get this going. It's also not just holding up the gerrymandering of the districts. It's also holding up funding to the people that were affected in Kerrville's in the flood in Kerr, Texas. Truth be known, folks, the Democrats are idiots for running and fleeing town because inevitably, no matter what happens, they're going to have to come to town at one point, and then Governor Abbott says, he will have a special session until they show back up. He will continue, meaning they can't stay gone forever. And so one way or another, when they show back up, we're going to get down to business. But in the meantime, we're going to see how we can punish those that have made this such a difficult process. And Ken Paxton and Speaker of the House have got new rules, new restrictions, while they are both trying their damnedest to find ways to constructively give you more opportunities to come back before we have to give you the FAFO, jail time, lose your seat, vacate your seat, get fined, being arrested and brought back, however you want to play it. It's happening, folks. The Democrats have left town this time, and literally they have shot themselves in the foot. Best case scenario, we get the 5 seats, and we get some of those vacated seats because some of these Democrats didn't show back up in time before they literally, by a court of law, lost their option to still be in the job because they ain't been to work in 20 days. You don't go to work in 15 or 20 days and it goes that long, you're fired. I don't care where you work, and I believe that's the way it would be ruled. And so the longer they stay away, the better for the Republicans. And so I ain't mad at the whole situation. I think it's actually kind of comical. The Democrats they've turned into basically a theater act, a sideshow act, more than trying to create policy or work with the other team to get something done to help the American people, their constituents. They're just in it for themselves, and it's obvious how petty they are with every situation. They're sore losers, and we've been losing for 4 years under Biden, and now it's their turn, and they can't take it. Shows you what kind of people they are, folks. Now, I've got this great video here for you. It is 4 minutes long, but it is good stuff. It just keeps giving. It's one of those videos you watch a few minutes of and you're like, oh, that's good stuff. Show me a little more. Show me more. Show me more. This video's got it all the way to the end. He's going to break it down for you and explain the whole deadline, what's going on with their paychecks, what's going to happen to their jobs if they're not careful. Here we go, folks. Get into it.
Here's where we are at today. Yesterday, Attorney General Ken Paxton and I took action to domesticate the civil arrest warrants in the state of Illinois, seeking to make them enforceable beyond Texas state lines. I expect suits in other states will be forthcoming. Chairman Guerin of House Administration has also contacted the Sergeant-at-Arms of Illinois House of Representatives requesting their direct assistance in returning absent members. I have been in constant communication with Department of Public Safety, which has been working to track down absent members in an effort to return them to our chamber. These efforts will continue through the weekend. For those that have fled to Illinois or to California, be reminded that the FBI's assistant has reportedly been enlisted, and their powers are not confined to any singular state's boundaries. As far as new administrative policies in our chamber go, Comptroller Kelly Hancock and I have enacted a new policy stating that any member absent for the purpose of breaking quorum will no longer have their paycheck or per diem deposited electronically. While the Constitution forbids us from withholding pay, it does not dictate how we issue the pay. Those checks must now be picked up in person on Capitol grounds, effective immediately. Starting today, to safeguard taxpayer dollars and account for forthcoming liabilities under Rule 5, Section 3 of House Rules, which authorizes fines for members absent without leave, 30% of each quorum-breaking member's monthly operating budget will be reserved and made unavailable for expenditure. Absent members must also appear in person to approve or enact any of the following: requests for travel reimbursement, personal action requests, including those increasing or decreasing staff salaries, approval for newsletters and House of Reproduction services. Failure to appear in person will result in the cancellation of your newsletters and the encumbered funds. We have all hands on deck. We are continuing to explore new avenues to compel a quorum, and will keep pressing forward until the job is done. Finally, today, Dr. Greg Bonin will file House Bill 3, the House's priority legislation for flood recovery and infrastructure funding, developed after 25 hours of testimony from Texans whose lives were upended by the July 4th floods. To those in California, Illinois, New York, or Massachusetts, wherever you may be, hear this: the bill cannot be referred to committee without a quorum. Every hour you remain away is time stolen from those Texans in need. Each one of you knows that eventually you will come back, and we will pass the priorities of the special session on the call. But with each passing day, the political cost of your absence is rising, and it will be paid in full. For the members' presence, I expect everyone to be here on Monday at the absolute latest. DPS is in the field to execute these warrants. Should they lead to the civil arrest of our absent colleagues over the weekend, you are on call. You will need to be available to return to Austin with a minimum of 6 hours of notice.
So what he's saying right there is, he says if DPS snags your ass in Illinois, California, or one of these left-wing states that's hiding you, picks you up in transit, puts you in handcuffs, puts you in the back of a van, drives your ass to Texas and throws you in the speaker's house and keeps you there, and gets a dozen more people, or 11 more, just like that the one, get a total of a dozen people rounded up, Texas style, bringing their ass back per the FBI or whoever it is, has DPS, whoever it is, got to go get them, brings them back to quorum tomorrow by noon or whatever. Then the rest of the members that are in the House currently are to be put on notice that they may be called, and they'll have 6 hours to return. So everybody here is on notice. We may work on Saturday if they round up a dozen of them tonight. That's what he's saying, folks. Y'all catch that? Another great point here is they're taking their dang paychecks and saying you can't get your paycheck unless you show up. So they will no longer make another dollar they can cash without having to show up at their job. That's a brilliant plan. I like it. Now, I have only seen this guy speak 2 or 3 times. His name is Dustin Burrows. But we have now finally got a decent Speaker of the House. This guy seems like he is square business, and that's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. Let's get to the end of the video, and I'll literally read over you all 5 things that he said that involved kicking the Democrats in the teeth with the threats.
Members, the call of the House remains in force. Under House rules, the House may adjourn from day to day. While I will call the House to order in a pro forma session tomorrow at 11 a.m., unless you receive a call to be here tomorrow because of DPS's good work. I will provide written permission to be entered in today's journal for each member registered as present during the session to leave the chamber and return 1 p.m. Monday. Members present today do not need to return until at 1 p.m. Monday. Members present today do not need to return until Friday. Until Monday.
A little confusing, but what he was saying is, he says, y'all that are here on Friday, you don't have to come in on Saturday unless we call you. We're going to go ahead and do a quorum call on Saturday anyway to find out if we have any new Democrats sitting in the room in handcuffs. And if so, we've got enough, then you may be called to show back up before the weekend's out. That's what's going on, folks. That's the way I deciphered it anyway. I believe that's what he had to say. But literally, listen to the 5 things that he just put out there. Then we'll get into what Ken Paxton had to say. Texas House Speaker announced increased punishment for the Democrats. Paychecks must be picked up in person. 30% of Democrats' office budget is cut. $500 fine per day. Must appear in person for any reimbursements. No more vacation. No more getting nothing. Banned from sending newsletters. Okay, that's part of it. Yeah, good deal. Possible arrest by the FBI. Yep, that's all part of the program. And embarrassed in front of the media, being thrown down on the ground, put in handcuffs, dragged and thrown in the car because you're just too stupid to do your job and show back up. You know, inevitably, we're going to get what we want. We have supermajority here in Texas. We have, I believe, all 9 Supreme Court justices are Republican. We have the House and the Senate there by a lot. If we didn't have rhinos in Texas, we wouldn't even have to have a Democrats at this point. But for most things. But in this case, we actually need a handful of Democrats just to be able to shove stuff down their throats, because we're going to get it done anyway. We have that right, considering you're in the Red Kingdom, otherwise known as the great state of Texas. And that's just what I believe, folks. Being a Texan and all. Best state I ever lived in. I've only lived in a couple of places in my life, and Texas is where I guess I belong. I don't think I'd be comfortable anywhere else. Now, I got a couple stories here for you. I want to do a little reading for you. Get my goggles out. Now, just in, Ken Paxton, and I mean just in, not even an hour ago, Ken Paxton, Attorney General, moves to declare every runaway Democrat seat vacant. And he is getting the motion in action. You know he knows what he's doing, being super attorney that he is. Greatest Attorney General in the entire country, hands down. I'm not saying that because he's ours. I'm saying that because it's the truth. Ken Paxton and Bailey from Missouri are the 2 best attorney generals in the entire country, hands down. But at any rate, let's get to it. It says, breaking news. Ken Paxton tweets, I have filed a historic lawsuit against a Democrat runaway in Scotus to secure an order declaring that their seats vacate. Their seats vacant. Let me read that again. Breaking, I filed a historic lawsuit against Democrat runaways in Scott X to secure an order declaring their seat vacant. Okay, the cowardly deliberately sabotaged the constitutional process. Their out-of-state rebellion cannot go unchecked, and the business of Texas must go on. Okay, and there's the actual docket if you want to read it. It's over here on the Gateway Pundit. It says, Paxton announced on Tuesday that he would file to vacate the Democrat seats if they didn't return by the end of the week. He says, I will seek judicial orders declaring that runaway Democrats who failed to appear by the Speaker's deadline have vacated their offices. So if they don't show up by Monday, they have vacated their offices, is what Ken Paxton is going to declare. Now, what happens when he declares it? His announcement, one day after he launched an investigation into Texas Majority PAC, a George Soros-funded PAC, illegally funded runaway Democrat activities. We're talking about the Beto O'Rourke PAC. The group was also found a former staffer of radical former gubernatorial and Senate candidate Beto O'Rourke. Paxton added that TMP reported played a coordinating role the helping of illegal fundraising and potentially bribing Texas House members. Ooh. The news also comes just 2 days after Paxton launched a criminal investigation into O'Rourke's own PAC for unlawfully funding runaway Democrats. So I'm understanding that there is the Beto O'Rourke PAC, and then there is a Democrat Texas Majority PAC, which is the George Soros one funded. But I believe Beto O'Rourke is Soros funded as well. So one and the same. Says the news also comes just 2 days. I read that. Says it was reported this week that O'Rourke's PAC funded the private plane that transported the Texas Democrat lawmakers to Illinois so they could block GOP redistricting. You know what's going to happen here, folks? These people are going to catch bribery charges because they're fundraising on running off. And I've already seen the website. For every dollar that gets brought in for these Democrats is criminal. For them to be fundraising off of it. I thought about donating to one of them just to make sure they all get a little money in all of them's coffers. Just so, well, I'm sure they'll have somebody donate. I'm not going to waste my money. But I'm sure somebody will be donating to these Democrats for running away. I'm sure there's idiots out there like that. And so as soon as those coffers start filling up, that is guilty of a crime known as bribery for not doing their job. That is bribery and borderline extorting the state of Texas's judicial system ability, or their at least the House's ability to do their job. Ridiculous. It says Paxton has filed a bombshell lawsuit against failed Democrat politician Beto O'Rourke and his activist group Powered by the People, accusing them of running an unlawful deceptive fundraising operation designed to bankroll Texas House Democrats who fled the state in the quorum, all to break quorum, all while pocketing donations for personal luxuries. That's what I was just discussing. He said he sued Beto O'Rourke directly for Beto bribes to Democrat runaways. Beto O'Rourke must have a lot of big backers like George Soros behind him. They all seem to want Beto in, but Beto can't win. He's tried 3 times here in Texas and he can't win, and he'll probably try again. It says Texas legislature Ken Paxton wrote on X, I will not allow failed political has-beens to buy off Texas elected officials. I'll see you in court, Beto. Beto may be in trouble. You know, as a matter of fact, while Beto was here in Texas a couple years ago, and he was trying to run against, I think he was running for governor or something at the time. But Beto O'Rourke was running here in town, and he was electioneering. He was using a microphone, had video cameras, had the news out there, and the news actually caught him here. Local Channel 25 News caught Beto O'Rourke electioneering less than 200 feet away from a polling station right there by the scrapyard here in Waco, Texas. And I reported on it at the time, but it definitely... He doesn't mind bending or breaking the rules, obviously, for his own benefit. Beto O'Rourke was literally campaigning outside of an election booth, less than 200 foot away, when people were during the voting process. Campaigning while the voting was going on within 200 feet is illegal, and he did that. And I believe he was given a misdemeanor crime behind it, and I've heard no more about it. This out-of-state cowardly cabal is abandoning their constitutional duties. I will not allow failed political has-beens to buy off Texans. Paxton is also asking the court to freeze PBP's, which is the organization, Texas-based assets, and bar O'Rourke from using political donations for any personal expense or absentee donations. The state is seeking over $1 million in monetary relief, civil penalties up to $10,000 per violation, and an emergency restraining order to halt all fundraising tied to these activities. This is they're getting serious. They're going to stop this fundraising, or let them do it, and then fine the hell and then tax them for it legally. Once the money is raised, it's bribery. Once Beto O'Rourke is proven to be paying for other politicians' get around to break quorum, I think we've got some whole lot of legal implications going to apply there. Maybe Beto O'Rourke will be just another person the FBI needs to put on their list to investigate. Not that they don't have enough to do already, but he may be the next deep stater that needs to go. Paxton office says the real purpose is to fund an out-of-state cowardly cabal intent on derailing the legislative work on property tax relief, flood recovery, school reform, and constitutional redistricting. And that is the absolute fact, folks. I believe that is the whole skinny of it all. You're welcome to come over here to Gateway Pundit and read up on this if you so like. That's all I got for you today, folks. Going to make it short. It's a Friday afternoon. Just trying to get back to my day like the rest of y'all and get to enjoying your weekend. Hopefully everybody enjoyed and was at least a little more informed about what is going on. But it looks like Florida is going to get involved and get their seats back. Trump has dropped a bomb yesterday about wanting to do another census, a 2024, 2026, 2025 census. That way we can redistrict with the new census that doesn't involve the illegal votes and do it before the 2026 midterms. That way California, New York, and several states can lose, I'm guessing, 20, 30 districts possibly that they stole in the mix of this 4 years of Biden. Well, folks, we're going to, because they kicked this ant farm, or they kicked this hornet's nest, should I say, the Democrats did, with this complaining about the way Texas does their business involving redistricting, which is absolutely legal. Now we have gotten to where we are looking at every state, how states have been ripped off, like Massachusetts, of their congressional Republican seats. Republicans do not get a fair shake in left-wing states, and they have proven that just this week because we're finally looking into it. And so it's huge exposure for our side, and now Trump is trying to fix it through the census, redoing the census, and we've got states that are going to add more to our numbers with this redistricting plan, and I love it. There's 4 or 5 states on board right now talking about getting it done, and guess what, folks? They're all red states. We can do this. All right, folks, everybody have a great day. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their weekend, like I said,